What's going on? This is another edition of Tell It How It Is, No Filter. I am your host, Hush, aka How You Stop Him, aka Voice of Reason, aka Unstoppable Hush, aka No Noise. Welcome. How's everybody doing? See the colors I'm repping, right? You watching? Congrats to the LA Rams. They did it. Football is in the books. Round of applause for that. The halftime show, I think it was a bunch of talented veterans that the music speaks for itself. So it kind of held the weight of respect, even if the actual theatrics and choreography and all of that, it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, if that was just regular artists on the come up maybe, or not so established, they would have had to put in more work, is what I should say. Great to see 50 come out. Again, the music speaks for itself. So for me, that was enough. They joking out here. The memes is crazy. They catch Snoop Dogg on the side taking a pull, saying that, you know, he got to get his joints off whenever he can, or whenever he feel like it, which I don't see the big deal. It's LA. Is marijuana not legal out there? But I guess in a stadium that's prohibited. But anyway, that's just a little joke with that. It was telling that Odell Beckham got hurt. I didn't see, nobody see. I don't think anybody was the reason. Like, it wasn't off of contact. I think it was just the play he landed, turned awkwardly. I don't know. But that was crazy because, damn, that was early in the game and he had to make an exit. He gets a ring nonetheless. The reffing, yeah, there was some missed calls, things that weren't, you know, addressed on the field. It still was a good game, and shout out to the Bengals as well. I think as the underdogs, or, you know, the young boys on the come up, it's easy to feel like everybody's counting you out, and even the refs may not be on your side. You still showed a ton of heart. Oh, by the way, this is episode 155, if I ain't say that. So, they showed real, you know what I mean? Like, mental toughness, and they was, you know, real professional with it. There was one little fight or whatever, but that's football. So I don't know, you know, that calls were missed, but I feel like calls are always missed. But they can debate the political disparagency. I don't know if that's even a word. I said it nowhere near right. But you can argue. But either way, dope. It didn't cover the spread, though. So if you rooted for the Rams on the spread, you lost. So, congrats, though. Either way, Odell gets a ring, even though he got hurt. And I think the Bengals have years to come to be a force and get in the ring. This won't be their last rodeo. So, shout out to the two teams. Again, football is in the books. Basketball, wow. So the trade deadline happened, and yeah, I gotta sit back. So Harden to Philly. I don't have all of the stats. I don't have everything. The ones that stick out for me. I'm giving you the info that it was the deadline. So if you want to go and narrow down everything that was done, you can. You know, I'm kind of a mixy podcast where, not mixy with, you know, interact, you know that mixy out there. I'm talking about as far as how I mix things in. You know, I give a little of this, a little of that. So, again, Harden to Philly. So Brooklyn gets Seth Drumming, and I think some draft pick of some sort. The Lakers didn't bust a move, I don't think. There was little other interactions like Pacers, Celtics, I believe. Like I said, you can go look it up. I just told the ones that stood out the most for me. The Harden to Philly, dog. I don't know. Who benefits more? Did both take an L in this scenario as far as Brooklyn and Philly goes? I know that All-Star weekend is upon us. And after that, you better come to work. Whoever. To show that both teams benefited. So they should be in the friggin' conference finals would be friggin' amazing. But wherever they meet, you know, so if they meet in the second round, either way I want to see them meet. I gotta see it. That would be dope for me. We shall see though, time will tell. Wow, I'm just taking it all. Durant, I don't know when he comes back, but it's shortly. Their little rumor with Kyrie, they was just talking shit to me that he's going to get vaccinated now that Harden's gone. Come on, stop trying to start shit. Even if that's true, we're grown, right? That's not professional. Whatever. So, we'll see how that unfolds. Again, All-Star Weekend is upon us. I think it's in Cleveland. So, busy month. Dababy and, I never say her name right, Dan Lee or whatever, her brother Brandon Bills. So this altercation has been spiraling around about, you know, on the bowling alley. Now, you know, I had to learn that the hard way, but not in the altercation. I forgot, like, mentally. You see, they give you bowling shoes, right? Because you bowling. I forgot my train of thought, my fault. Yeah, so anyway, when you try to go in the aisles where the bowling ball goes, that's not grippy. It's very slippery. You feel me? You got no business there. So I had that once where I think something happened, the ball got stuck or whatever was the reason my dumb ass went. I didn't fall, but I was reminded that you have no business there. So I say all that to say the altercation is funny and they just ain't care. I don't think it was trying to be funny. They just was in the heat of the moment and they ended up where that shit is crazy. So you see a bunch of bodies falling and blows being thrown. And again, to take away from the theatrics of it, everybody's like showing it in some type of way or form. I think the beef is obvious that there's tension there because of the treatment between Dababy and Dan Lee. They have a baby together, and they, you know, weeks ago that they, you know, the police had to come or he kicked her out, whatever the damn drama is. Like celebrities, I don't see how different than us they are. You know, if they got shit with them and shit pop off, it pops off, whether you got $1 million or $1. I know, again, I've said this in the last segment. We have a target on our back. So when we are successful in any way, in any area, we are heavily judged for our actions outside the office. So, they're running wild with this. It doesn't look good. Now, Dababy could not give a fuck. I'm not judging. Whatever. You know, the Brandon kid, I don't know how famous he's going to be from it or was before it. What does he do? I don't know. But I know the name that stands out is Dababy. So, could that have went a different way? You know, family. I want you to check out this song by the Locks called Family. Anyway, if you, as a man, get into an altercation or anything with my sister, there's various factors. Yeah, initial adrenaline thought is to pull up immediately. Like, what's going on here? Do we think consciously when we get older, no matter what we got to lose? Because you could be in a conscious set of mind and work McDonald's. I hate to keep using fast food places, like nowadays they're not beneficial and have more to offer. But I'm just saying in general, a job where you can get into a little fight and it won't cost the job. Or, you know, there's ways around stuff that if you act a certain way, you won't really be penalized. So I'm saying, is that an age thing only, or is that just responsibilities, period. Because again, if you could do that and not really lose your bread, or it don't really affect your day to day, does that make you want to pull up more and just react? Versus when you do have something to lose, now you thinking, or you just think there's just a certain time in life, no matter what you lose or whatever, you just not on that type of time and that type of energy. So now, again, if I know all the gory details, not saying that Brandon Bills did or didn't, but according to him, whatever I really did listen to, he said that he wasn't on that type of time. He just wanted to talk. He just wanted to have a conversation, and Dababy was already on defense. So now, let's go from that angle real quick. I'm not going to stay here long. If I'm approaching you to just have a convo on it, and you get defensive off rip, sorry, Dababy, I don't care if it was Jesus. You look sus, or raises a red flag. But you know I got to play devil's advocate. So again, that motion looks sus. So I understand Brandon Bills' side. Dababy, if his mindset is, this is her brother, the last memory I have, shit got twisted. I'm thinking, I don't know how Dan Lee is. Suppose she's on 100 all the time. He gonna think the brother's on 100 all the time. I don't know what relationship they had prior, him and the brother, prior to this altercation with him and her. So, you're gonna assume shit because they're family. So, if a family member is approaching me after I know I just had a spat with their family, yes, I'm going to think to be on guard. But I'm going to still pay a little attention to body language and how it's really vibing. You know, that's just me. That's not a perfection thing. That's not trying to be better than. But then you got to add alcohol. No, you know, some people will never let alcohol be a justified reason, which I'm not trying to say it is, for your actions. But I know it's impaired. If they don't want you to drive an XYZ under that influence, that means majority voters say alcohol impairs. So, if you're impaired, you may not approach situations the way you would had you not been impaired. So, I get both sides is the point. Now, if you want to really sit here and pick a right and a wrong, you can't really do it. You can say again, back to the whole with Dababy being a celebrity, a lot to lose, yada, yada, yada. That will make him to be wrong from that aspect. But man to man, take the celebrity shit out of here, nobody's wrong, really. Misunderstandings are the reason for a lot of situations where you can't really say either party is wrong. How it handled, how it went down, that's a majority. That's a group, that's a team effort. So either both wrong or none is wrong. From the views I've used. Now, whoever knows either side more than I do can shed better light. But then that would be opinionated because you think, let's say anybody's in Dababy's entourage that knows the whole shit. What's the chances of them siding with Brandon as far as saying that Brandon was right? And anybody on Brandon's side, who you think they gonna side with? The only person I'd be curious to see, maybe there is a response or reaction out there from her, I didn't check, is Dan Lee. What's her intake? Does she just automatically ride with the brother because it's her brother and his motive was to defend her possibly? Most likely. So maybe she sides with him off rip. But if we need a non-influenced person that knows the entire thing or most of it to see what their input is. But from my standpoint, the altercation itself is wrong. I'm tired of violence being publicized as like a how you call that? Social gathering or social up. That's not uplifting. We're in the month of Black History and remembering what people did for us to be able to do shit that, but year round, period. And I'm not trying to be political and go both sides with this. You got to pick a side for sure. I'm just saying that itself I didn't like, but I'm not blaming either brother for it really at this point based on what I know, because I understand both sides. So enough of that. Hope things, don't escalate further. Social media is the wrong, fuel and battery for things already hot. Where's the stories of social media fixing something or turning it around from something almost explosive to not even flammable, if that makes sense? Where does social media do that? It's kind of like whatever's already left goes more left, and if there is something positive, it's briefly highlighted. Especially us. I'm gonna do a lot of us talk. I'm still gotta watch that movie. I seen enough to say that I know what's going on, but I need to really sit down and in and out that from beginning to end. But anyway. Yeah, tell me when social media benefits. But you dwell on that and think on that, because we still going to use it. We still going to be on there. And there ain't nothing we can do about that. So, shout out Quan the Dawn. I'm going to get to your joint on my other platform. That's why I didn't do it today. If men, only this angle, if men weren't the aggressors, weren't the pursuers of physical interaction, aka sex. Yes, let's make it spicy. Happy Valentine's Day. Fellas, keep it real with yourself. Would your numbers go down or up? Understand. Numbers games don't matter to some, especially when you get to a certain age. But I'm just saying mentally to yourself, or just as a conversation, this is not something to take like a life lesson. I mean like a life task, should I say, not life lesson. So, from the time you began, when you lost your virginity, till now, however old you are, no matter where you live, even no matter skin color, or gender. I mean, not gender. Or, whenever I get into that political shit, I always word shit wrong. Your preference. Gay, straight, blah, blah, blah. It don't even matter. I'm not getting into every gory angle. I'm just saying. Simple. If you weren't the aggressor, let's say your numbers is 40. You dated 40 women. You've had sex 40 with 40 women. Not 40 times, because I'm assuming those encounters were more than once. But if you want to simplify this shit just as a point, okay, 40 women, 40 sexual encounters. Ask yourself, how many of that 40, it was because you. It went down because you was aggressive. Now, I know where you could come at me already. Women decide you have nothing to do with it. When they meet you, they know within minutes of if they gonna do that or not. Still and all, you have to react. Some kind of reaction. So when I say aggressor, it's all angles of it. I don't mean, who's getting right to the point, really. Some not. Whatever. Again, but if your whole strategy, fellas, was passive, you never was aggressive, you never initiate, you never went in, like you kind of just sit there and wait to be selected, where would your numbers be as opposed to now? I feel like, don't cap. There's guys that's gonna sit here and say, my numbers is the same, it'd be up or whatever, cause I never was stop lying. So the point is, it's expected for us to be the aggressor. I'm thinking in the old-fashioned terms. Back in the day, how I was raised, what stories I heard back then is that a young man is interested in a young lady, that they go and they make that be known. Offer to take them out. Flowers. Whatever procedures it takes to go there. Now, it could be one or two things. The guy could just want to go there. Ladies used to still get a little wine and dine in, or for just the man wanting sex. Nowadays, it gets tricky. What's really whining and dining today is microwaved. Back then, that looked good. You went out, you had dinner. It didn't look as political. Now, restaurants are of a higher amount and access to it, and that shit don't mean nothing now. The wine and dine thing is more patterny. You do it, you romance them, but then you got to do it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, just that one time could be dope, but it doesn't give us that back in the day feel. Back in the day feel, you could feel like some real shit in the air off of that one date. You know what I'm saying? Vibe-wise and the ambiance and all of that. Today, whatever, it's like a dime a dozen that feel. So, you do all of this, to me, you're the aggressor. Even if after, you ask to take them out, she agrees, they agree, whoever. Y'all meet up, y'all go where y'all go, y'all eat what y'all eat, and you're just listening now. Let the lady talk, right? The whole strategy of whoever thinks they know it all when it comes to how to interact with women. Wherever they work or whatever they do on their day-to-day, maybe they get that off. Maybe they want to visit their past date life, maybe not. Either way, you're allowing them the platform to get shit off their chest, right? While feeding them a bottle of wine or whatever. So, if from that point to whenever the sexual encounter happens, you feel like you didn't do anything but be there, show up, you're gonna feel that you're not the aggressor, right? We could get petty and specifics and go, okay, so when you were dropping them home, you don't do nothing, lean, touch, rub, attempt to kiss, hug longer. These are all little things of being aggressive in a way. If you the man like that, I'm not trying to be funny. My example of not being aggressive at all, but then you might lose because women go off of vibes and feels as well. So now if you're too passive, she gonna think you not into it like that. So I get it. You could kind of lose for this example of mine. I'm just saying if. Because some people feel like their ambiance, their vibe is so ill, there's no need for aggression, there's no need for too much verbiage. It's just a glow. People be sometimes delusional, thinking they that ill. And some people kind of are that ill. I get it. So, my point is, you got to be a little aggressive, is the moral of the story. Because yes, today women are aggressive as well. A lot more than back in the day. So you're going to feel like it's an even playing field. You ain't got to go in. If they want it, what's that Keith Sweat song? If you really want it, girl. All you got to do is get up on it. So it's a lot. It appears to be simpler to get there because you don't have to be aggressive. So I guess to answer it, back in the day, I feel like if you weren't aggressive, your numbers would drop. I feel, my opinion. What's yours? You can comment anywhere I post this. You know it's on YouTube at Voice of Reason NF, but on all the platforms of mine is Instagram, Facebook. I would like to hear the comment of, do you agree? If it's back in the day, you're not aggressive, your numbers drop. You are aggressive, your numbers still could drop. More standards, right? If you're not aggressive today, your numbers may not be affected. It may remain the same. If you're not aggressive today, it can go up. Do I feel like there are cases of today where you're not aggressive, you're not getting none? There are those cases. But let me go back, repeating myself because I didn't give percentages of my opinion. So back in the day, if you weren't aggressive, I feel like your numbers would drop 20%. 25. I also have a 25% chance. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. No, you're not getting off the hook. I feel like if you're not aggressive back in the day, your numbers drop 50%. Watch the breakdown. 50% decrease off of not being aggressive back in the day. And I'm talking 40 years or more. I ain't talking 90s and 2000 because that already started to shift. I'm talking about late 80s and back. Maybe. 50% decrease. 25% that it stays the same, and 25% that it could still go up. Back in the day. Today, if you're not aggressive, this twisted because it's some mental shit. If you're not aggressive today, I feel like 25% chance it stays the same. 25% chance that it decreases. And 50% chance that it goes up. I don't know if I want to really stand tall on that. I kind of want to give it staying the same 50. I feel like 50% it stays the same. 25% today it goes up with not being aggressive. And 25% it goes down not being aggressive. Because you could still not be in the right lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like your plan of attack or your plan of being in the mix. It could still go left with this non-aggressive behavior. So yeah, 50% it remains the same in my opinion. What is your opinion or percentage that you would put? Aggressive versus non-aggressive for sex today. Anything from mid-90 to now versus mid-90 and back. How you feel? So, does that leave me with a strategy to tell you how to be? We didn't factor in age. So if you're 25, roughly, if you're 25 any between the times of early 90s and back versus being 25 from early 90s to now, you're probably going to be aggressive anyway. That age for me is like the time to be about it. Be out there. Talk up for yourself. Show that you hold weight. So 20-something year olds, no matter which era, I got them being aggressive. But the numbers and percentage I selected, I still stand by. Now if you're 45 back then versus 45 now, it's really foggy for me because it could go either way, man. I think 45 back then, less aggressive might have happened more. Because now you're like situated, but you could have been a beast still. Because this is no real no. You can't really no. But I'm going to give a 45-year-old back then a little more passiveness than today. But did it work? I think being passive today works more at that age. Being passive back then worked less. But then it's harder to even say that because by 45 back then, you were established maybe. And I don't mean financially all the way. 90s and back, you don't think if you're 40 something, you're like in something serious at a higher rate than today? Opinions. Remember, it's not facts. I don't base this off facts. There's some shits that you can have as a conversation where you look it up, you write it down, you have the actual numbers. But even looking it up, Google and all that, we want to really rely on that, and that's the tell-all. That still don't mean that that's the actual fact. It's closer to the actual fact than you can assume. But I don't do that. So, like, you could, whatever, judge and opinion how you want. Because my platform is my shit. So I'm saying what I feel. And I always say that because I think I got to remind people. That doesn't make it actual factual. I'm just saying I feel a 45-year-old back then versus a 45-year-old now. If both of them are passive, I feel like the numbers on the today guy, 45, it will go up and maybe not so much then. And again, I think a 45-year-old back then should be somewhat settled in with something more than a 45-year-old today. A 45-year-old then might be 15 years in on his marriage, 10 years. A 45-year-old today could be 10 years divorced. Now that's facts, I feel. In comparison of how often that happened versus then and now. But either way, there's no cheat code, fellas. I really don't know. It's the individual. It's who you are. It's what you like, who you approach, in what settings. We used to could say, let's point out some innocent stuff. Like, okay, at church, passive may work. Aggressive may be looked at crazy in the church, right? But that's back then versus today. The stuff that happens today, kind of just turn the other way with it. Because stuff that normally would not be is happening. It's happening. So, I just want you to think on that, food for thought. Aggressive versus not. And then I left out, there's some guys who's just not aggressive at all. Like, they whole demeanor is passive. Laid back and shit. So, that throws whoever they going for off, because if their regular demeanor is always sort of passive, if they do something slightly aggressive, that's them being aggressive. So that could work in their favor or not, because it's a huge shift, which gets exaggerated because they're just speaking up more than they normally do. Because there's no one way to be. Sometimes you do gotta voice a little more, sometimes you voice a little less. But ones who don't normally voice, if they do make a move, then it's highlighted like, oh my God, that's aggressive. Because that's aggressive for that person. Then you got somebody who's always aggressive, always vocal, energy on 100, that when they're not, that's weird. So I didn't even put that in play, and maybe I'll leave that for you to just dissect, because now if you're a normally aggressive person all around and you chose to be passive, where would your numbers go? You might throw your partner off, especially if they know that about you. And vice versa with the person who's super passive and decides to be aggressive about something. But I think the passive person, on a closing note, the passive person who decides to be aggressive in an instant may get more respect, more attention, because that's a shift that can be looked at positive. Like, okay, you standing up for yourself. You saying what's on your mind. Yes, dope. Somebody who's always aggressive, I guess the value of them being aggressive drops because they expect you to be that. So now when you become a little passive, when you're normally aggressive, that may show signs of defeat, uncertainty, not confident. It's not definite. But that's why you may not capitalize like I feel the passive person would when they become aggressive. Think on that. Stay safe. Enjoy your week. And spoil your loved ones all the time, not just on V-Day. I holla. Stay up.